Hello, Virgo family, and welcome to May 2020. Yes, this is a powerful time. And I think, Virgo energy in some ways really flourishes with some of the challenges that are at our fingertips, the ability to problem solve and make things work, keep things flowing is there. I think the other side of this is that desire to have control and be on top of it and having to lean more into the surrender side of your personality and doing that practice more and more and more. I'm a Virgo moon, and so for me to feel like relaxed and emotionally open, I need to have things organized and have my emails done and have the dishes put away and have the bed made and things put away. And there are moments when I just want to be in total control that way right now and just have the house like put away in very specific containers. And I have to take a breath and just remember that control isn't making me feel better at some level, right? And this is an important month to be a little bit more into the reverse logic that the universe often works with, which is, in order to be at the end, at the conclusion, you have to start at the beginning. Or the other way you can think about that is, in order to be at the beginning, you have to start at the end. You have to start where you're the least empowered to feel the most empowered and what have you. That's partially because so much is going retrograde this month. We start the month already off with Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. Then we have our Venus retrograde in Gemini on May 13th. We have a Saturn retrograde on May 11th. And we have a Jupiter retrograde on May 14th. So a lot of energy is going internal, is going to be in the hidden, unseen side of the process of life at this time. So that means that a lot of the powerful influences we get at this time do not come from obvious external sources. They come from within. Frequency work here, which I know we hear a lot about, but it is really one of the big things that is happening right now. And there's really no way around it that other than to remember that you're empowered within your frequency to take care of yourself. And part of that has to do with listening in and releasing resistance via control, via overactive thoughts, via all of that, and to be compassionate to those parts of ourselves and really hear them out, but to also remain open to that deeper wisdom that shows us the way without that control factor. So the big thing here is this Venus retrograde, right? And I will be doing a weekly series over on my Patreon. We are going to go deep with Venus retrograde. We're going to talk about the symbolism of Venus. We're going to talk about her movement through the sky. She's doing all of her work with this retrograde in Gemini. It starts on May 13th. It goes till June 25th. It's a 6-week cycle that is really deep. So if you're looking for support during May, I will be offering it over there. I would love to see you there. But Venus retrograde in Gemini, fellow mutable sign, it's really hitting into who you are in this world, who you want to be in this world. Let's start shuffling. Temperance wanted to pop right out. Who you want to be in this world, how you want to contribute to this world. And I think this is an important time to reevaluate that. During Taurus season as well, before we even get to Venus retrograde, the sun's moving through Taurus this month for a lot of the month until we hit into Gemini season, which means that also your life philosophy, who you are, what you want to be, what you want to build, your paradigm around your beliefs, the foundation of your belief system is getting a huge 6 of Swords, a huge shift at this time. Revelations about who you are going to be coming up next year and the year after. I'm getting full body shivers as I talk about this. This is a really important time to be listening to that information coming in because it is just potent as can be. Page of Pentacles. Yes, news bringers for sure. The news bringers from surprising territory, from surprising aspect. So be open, remain open to whatever is coming through your life at this time, whether it's a change in plans, a change in intent. Rather than shutting down and judging it as something really bad or something stressful or scary, remember that it's probably it can both be scary and overwhelming and have something to show us. We don't have to choose. We don't have to just be happy about something, but we can find both sides of the coin. The other thing that's going on this month that's big, and the collective is going to feel this, especially if you have Gemini placements, you'll probably feel this as well. The north node of the moon is moving into Gemini on May 5th. This is big. For me, the nodes of the moon are really powerful, really useful to keep in mind. They work through for each sign for about a year and a half or 18 months. Four of Pentacles. Watch and listen. Notice. And we just finished the cycle of it being in the North Node in Cancer, the South Node in Capricorn. Now we're working with North Node in Gemini, South Node in Sagittarius. Three of Cups. This changes the flavor of everything. On the collective level, this means that we are re-examining how we tell stories, how we use our narrative capabilities to tell story, how we connect to our empowerment when it comes to how we speak to ourselves, how we show up to the little details of life, how we stay present in the smaller planning and not always the big picture. Because the South Node in Sagittarius is going to remind us to, one, revise our mentality around our belief systems, and also to not rely on just zooming out and sitting in the big picture all the time and kind of detaching and being free all the time and not really showing up to be present in the moment. And so we are starting to do that work. Five of Swords. This is showing up for the more analytical signs out there. The Five of Swords, the overthinking, the getting into the paranoid, the getting into the worry phase, which is very tempting right now, quite a seductive, just as I'm saying that, Nine of Swords. Very seductive at this time to go to those survival mechanisms that we may have used in other points in our lives. So this is important to be, use your anxiety or your nervous thoughts, give them compassion, hear them out. They could have good information for you because, as I've been talking about all this energy in Gemini, Venus retrograde, North Node of the Moon, all of that having to do with what you do in the world. You also have transits that are really important in activating what it is you want to do next. Jupiter and Pluto, for example, are retrograde this month in and throughout the next several months in your fifth house, in your heart chakra, in that creative part of who you are. So what you're doing in the world and how that makes you feel is a really important part of this process. We also have a full moon in your third house, how you communicate, in Scorpio. And we have Mars in your seventh house of your relationships in Pisces, how you're relating to others, how you're staying open or shutting down. King of Swords came out. So interesting. Pisces got that as their last card too. Your big counterpart over there also got King of Swords at the end. Discernment, using your analytical skills to be healthfully discerning, is really important at this time. My point being that listening to where you feel stress and anxiety could be useful at this time, actually, rather than it being just this inconvenient thing that I'm telling you have to stop doing. Rather than immediately just buying into the story, just pay attention to what it's telling you, because it could be telling you important things about what projects are not working for you anymore, what lifestyle choices are not working for you anymore, what feels empty to you, what no longer fits you. Your form has changed, your shape has changed, which means that there is a huge ability now to listen to where you feel. You have to control, you have to override, you have to reboot, you have to force. This is a great time to hear that information. In fact, these first two cards I think are so perfect for that. Temperance is one of my favorite energies. I think often some people have a hard time connecting to this card because it's like, temperance, it doesn't sound very exciting, but it's very alchemical. It's that idea of tempering two ingredients together to get something new. It's very magical. And this is very divine energy. And I think when I think about things like having maybe a core belief or a habit that has kind of gotten us by, we just want to discard it or get rid of it and say, oh, that's not helping me anymore. I want to be this other version of myself that doesn't have that. The Temperance card instead says, the Temperance energy says, okay, we have this perhaps habit or project or idea that we've been working with for a long time, and it's starting to feel a little strained or stressed or tired, and we want to shift it. How can we listen into that and temper it with the new information so that we can transform, right? Temperance wants us to transform rather than trying to just burn things to the ground. He wants to take the elements that are within us and help us alchemize them into something different. And that's what's really going on here. It's not about casting aside your entire personality or shutting down whole parts of yourself, but it's about listening hard, because there is something shifting here. Six of Swords is about moving on, leaving a shore that no longer serves. It's a journey card. It is a seeker, searcher, journeying card, which is why I think I love it, because personally I'm always seeking and journeying, and I always feel like I'm moving forward into something else. This card actually makes me think about Florence and the Machine, who made a video, I think back in 2015. She made this beautiful visual album, How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful. And one of the songs, Long and Lost, is she gets on this boat and she's leaving behind this Scottish island she has to go. And it's it's filmed in the evening. It's beautiful. It makes me think of Six of Swords. And this leaving behind, right? And I think the thing is that when we revolutionize, when we start to realize maybe a project or a work or a lifestyle or a relationship or whatever, it could be anything. It could even just be a mentality or a way of doing your hair that may come up, of leaving it behind. There is liberation in it, and there's beauty in it, and there's bittersweetness in it. Now there's a reassessment here as well of just what you have in the world, what matters to you materially, quite honestly. Page of Pentacles brings in great news for money or opportunities or creativity, right? It opens that door. It's saying, here's the door that's kind of leading you forward. And the Four of Pentacles is where we feel a little reserved, where we feel maybe nervous to take that jump, maybe feel nervous to take that change. Now here's what's interesting about this month. Because it's so much about retrograde and internalization, yes, there are going to be practical things that have to get sorted. There always are. We're never going to be able to just sit. It's fine to keep moving forward. However, for these bigger seismic shifts that you may be feeling, this is a great month to watch, perceive, note down, pay attention, integrate, allow yourself to feel some of that resistance. Notice what it's saying. Allow yourself to feel some of the hope and the urge to move forward, and notice what it's saying. Use your emotions where you control or where you feel relaxed to show you the way. Because you do have Virgos, it's so funny here. You have quite the combo of energies going on. You have all this beautiful energy here with Temperance, Six of Swords, Page of Pentacles, welcoming in a new perspective. And then you have this complexity when it comes to your relationships, your friendships, your community that's coming up for you. Three of Cups is very celebratory and playful and fun and connected, and I really like this energy a lot. I know that it has that reputation, third party and drama, but that, to me, is an interpretation of this that's based on patriarchal idea of women fighting each other for control, and I'm over it. When I see three women reveling happily together, that makes my heart happy. So Three of Cups is about celebration. It is about communion. It is about community, and it is about sharing that joy with others and not feeling isolated. But while that may be happening on one level, Virgos, there's another part of you that's feeling really lonely right now and really afraid to trust. Trust yourself, trust the process, trust what it is that maybe you're noticing coming up as a theme or a feeling that you can't quite shake and that keeps coming up as something that feels like it needs to be worked on or that needs to change. These cards really speak to that part of our mind that wakes us up in the morning at 3 a.m. and says, am I doing it right? Am I allowed to do this? Maybe I missed a step, repeating parts of ourselves that maybe we have questioned. And that's okay, right? But this is a really lonely feeling, and I have a lot of empathy for this because I've definitely been here. When you feel like you are alone and you don't know what's true anymore or what's right, and you feel that anxiety kick in, that maybe that's the hammock that will keep you safe, right? And like I said, I think rather than trying to just eradicate any of these feelings or thoughts, where you feel nervous, resistant, worried, a little scared, rather than trying to just muffle it and destroy it, this is a beautiful time to listen harder. And not necessarily buy in. There's a very big difference between listening harder and saying, okay, that's the truth, and really seeing and hearing it for what it is. I'm a really big fan with more difficult emotions, with shadow side, with anxiety. Let that voice be written out by hand or on the computer if that's better for you. Let it rip. See what it says, detach from it. And you'll notice that one, you don't have to buy everything that says. Two, that there's something important there that it's showing you. It's something important there that is no longer serving you or that wants to be shifted and can give us some of our best information about how we are transforming. So rather than demonizing this part of ourselves, it's okay to embrace it. And once again, because we have all this retrograde action, what's going on there is that inverse logic, so you start in the anxiety, and rather than trying to run from it, you go into it and you come out with greater clarity. That's where King of Swords is important. This is the king of discernment, the king of clarity, and you may have an air sign in your life. That's totally possible. You may have an air sign, you may have a Sagittarius, you may. But the important thing with King of Swords is discernment, clarity, and boundaries. Right? King of Swords is able to detach from that physical emotive thing that sometimes our bodies can get revved up, recognizing a danger, getting revved up, right? The King of Swords steps back and says, this is for me, this is not for me. And I don't know if I totally expressed this earlier on, but the note that came up for Virgos was, if there are projects, situations, or routines that you just feel you have to keep going on, this is a time for discernment about what is serving you, what is not, and releasing some of that and integrating the information that brings. And the King of Swords is that balanced ability to make decisions rather than the torture and the merry-go-round of overthinking. King of Swords is much more like yes, no, right? There isn't this constant waffling. So that may be something, follow your instinct on certain things too. Let yourself say yes or no, really from the heart. I have some key words that came up for me in May, and I'm going to pick one for you that I've written up and drawn out here on these little sheets of paper. Let's see what message wants to come in for you. It's healing. Healing. That is so beautiful. This is a time of deep healing for Virgos. I believe that wholeheartedly. I think this is a huge time of allowing these parts to shift, to change, to grow, to morph. This is a time to liberate yourself from expectations that feel off and unimportant and not serving you. This is a wonderful time to re-empower yourself with all of your gifts and to free yourself from those things that do not serve anymore. This is a deeply healing month for you. It also will take you through some of these parts of yourself, maybe some of these thought patterns or processes that you are kind of tired of doing all the time, and helping to heal your nervous system, helping you to heal your physical body in the way that the mind-heart-body connection is so deep, right? So this is a really important month for that for you all. And that does lead to huge seismic shifts in the way that you move through the world. Yes, absolutely, it does. But I think the important thing here is taking care of yourself. The important thing here is listening to your true authentic self and not cutting off your desires at the knees, not allow yourself to fully dream up and envision what it is that you want to embody here. Don't feel that you have to cut it off or that you have to pay attention to those restrictions from another time. Who are you when you are fully open to this alchemizing process that is going on with temperance. It's not about speed. It's not about doing things the fastest and the best. It's about this alchemizing process of listening in. I love you all so much. You know I do. I have so much respect for my Virgo clan and a lot of love, and I'm riding this wave with you too. I'm going to be doing this work 100%. Like I said, if you want to join me for the journey of Venus retrograde and the journey of North Node in Gemini and the journey of all the other retrogrades happening in the sky, I would love to see you on my Patreon. We are going to be doing so many beautiful things and worksheets and weekly check-ins and just connecting with everybody going through this together. It's a really beautiful little community. I'd love to see you over there. You can also find me on Instagram at Sarah Verba. I will be opening up some sessions in June, one-on-one, where we create the space, we do the work, we sit deep, we listen hard, we show up for the big conversations. It's a really beautiful practice. I would love to see you there. So if you're interested in working with me, keep an eye on my calendar. I will leave my booking link below so that you can see what I have opening up for the next few months. And I love you so much. I will see you very soon, my beautiful Virgo family. Have a beautiful May. Oh, and of course, I'm wearing PinkLune. My girl at PinkLune, she has some beautiful, grounded, healing, Taurus-made jewelry that I wear every day. So go check her out. And I think that's everything. I will see you so soon for more magic.